Good afternoon, everybody. Rocky Romano. I'm the author of the Heroin Addict Next Door, and figured we'd do it outside in the snow in my backyard in lovely Colorado and do something a little bit different. But the first drug that we want to talk about today is heroin. Good old H. The drug that seems to be taking so many people down in our society today. And I wanted to give you a start out. If you're a family member and you have a loved one who is struggling with addiction, or you're not really sure what's going on, I wanted to talk to you about the symptoms. Why is heroin so alluring? And I'd like to start out by giving you some facts. We're going to try to make this lively and a little bit educational and make it fun. But as I sit here and freezing out here, the USA represents about 5% of the world's population. And right now in the United States of America, we're taking 75% of all the prescription drugs manufactured. And since we declared, if you remember, a war on drugs, I think President Nixon did that, we are looking at, we've spent probably about $1 trillion. And what's even crazier is the prison population has increased by 700%. Isn't that nice? So somebody's making money and somebody's paying the price. So anyway, a day in the United States of America looks like this. 650,000 prescriptions of opiate drugs are issued a day. 3,500 people initiate a non-prescribed use of an opiate drug. So it's not prescribed to them. Somebody says, here, try some of these, it'll make you feel better. And about close to 600 people a day try heroin for the very first time. And just to kind of wrap that up and get your head around that with regard to prescription drugs, every 19 minutes in the United States of America, somebody dies of a prescription, not necessarily opiates, but die of a prescription medication in the United States of America. So why are opiates so alluring, and why are so many people doing them? Well, I can tell you one thing: there's nothing more intoxicating. Heroin comes in a tar form. You can get it in a sticky tar form. It comes in a white powder form. You can snort it. You can shoot it. You can smoke it. And those of you that it usually starts with prescription medications. 99% of the guys and gals that I've talked to, and I helped run a recovery program in San Francisco for about 3 years, started on prescription medication. And then when they couldn't get that anymore, they'd call on the dealer. So, and dealers will get there fast, and they certainly love your business. So it takes about anywhere from 5 to 9 days of consistent opiate use. So if you take it for 5 to 9 days, you're gonna get hooked. And statistics show, moms and dads out there, and friends and family members, and those of you that might think you have a problem right now, it's very, very, very difficult to get off of opiates. There's no question about it. One person out of 100 that tries to kick opiates actually does it. And by the grace of God, I was one of those people. So heroin, man, there's nothing that makes you feel better, but I'm talking about a drug. There is absolutely no recreational heroin drug users that I've ever met in my life. So it's difficult to kick, and it takes about 7 to 9 days if you're going to lock yourself up in a room. So or option B would be to medically detox yourself and go to a facility and have them slowly bring you down. But ultimately, if you're going to get off of the drugs, you know, for me, I had to drop to my knees, and I had to call on God, and He's the only one really that can set you free. So you know, heroin's a big one, and you know, I'm not going to get political, but I just find it kind of funny that since we went to Afghanistan, all of a sudden we have a heroin problem in the United States of America. So not to get political, but there's plenty out there. The prescription drug industry is doling out opiates right and left. So you're a mom, you're a dad, what's the difference between Oxycontin and oxycodone and Vicodin and Vicoprofen and heroin? Not much. How do I know that? Well, I was a heroin addict 10 years ago for a couple years, and I'll tell you what, nothing will drain your finances faster than that. So there are some options. There's a product out there which is I believe it falls in the coffee family. It's called Kratom, and people are taking that in pill form. They're grinding it up. They're drinking a Kratom tea. You can get that. Look it up online, and people will sell it. And I understand it's working real well to help heroin addicts get off. But you've got to get yourself into a recovery program. You've got to initiate. You've got to be involved. The guys that we brought in, and it was a men's program, but the guys we brought in that were heroin addicts like myself, man, those guys are squirrely. So I'm going to read a scripture from, it actually comes from Psalm 116, and I'm going to share this with you. It says, and this applied to me, man. When I read this, it hit home. It says, I love the Lord, for he heard my voice. He heard my cry for mercy, because he turned his ear to me, and I will call on him as long as I live. The cords of death had entangled me, and the anguish of the grave came over me. I was overcome by distress and sorrow, and then I called on the name of the Lord. Save me. The Lord is gracious and righteous. Our God is full of compassion, and the Lord protects the unweary. When I was brought low, he saved me. Return to your rest, my soul, for the Lord has been good to you. For the Lord has delivered me from death, and my eyes from tears, and my feet from stumbling, that I might walk before the Lord in the land of the living. I trusted in the Lord when he said, I am greatly afflicted, and in my alarm I said, everyone is a liar. What shall I return to the Lord for all his goodness to me? I will lift up my cup of salvation and call on the name of the Lord, and I will fulfill my vows to the Lord in the presence of his people. Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of the faithful servants, and truly I am your servant, Lord. I serve you just as my mother did, and you freed me from my chains. And that's Psalm 116. And you know what, the one thing is, I know there's a lot of people out there, you guys, that you know, don't know the Lord, or you think we're religious or whatever, but I will tell you, if you drop to your knees, call upon the name of the Lord, and you're gonna have to step out, get some help. But I just wanted to do a short video on heroin addiction, and we're gonna probably next week or the week after get into methamphetamine. But I'll tell you what, this is heroin, like fentanyl. The fentanyl they're making nowadays, they are cutting it, heroin with fentanyl, to jack up their game, the drug dealers, to provide a more potent product for the addict and for the people seeking relief. I'll tell you one thing, when I was doing heroin, somebody gave me a fentanyl patch, and I put that on my arm, and they're so strong it made me throw up. So obviously when you do heroin for the first time, whether you snort it, smoke it, or shoot it, you're going to throw up. So my advice to you is if you have somebody that you're related to that you might think has a problem, if things are starting to come up missing, money is gone, especially material items, your tools, and there's, you know, they'll sell anything to get a fix. So it's things are coming up missing. That's a telltale sign, and they are very, very, very cunning and baffling the way that they will try to convince you that they're not using. Denial is definitely not a river in Egypt, and you're either getting baptized in the River Jordan, or you're getting by the Lord, or you're getting dunked in the river of denial by the enemy himself. So if you don't have a copy of my book, please go to RockyARomano.com, buy a copy of the book, or go to ArmoryPublishing.com. Pick up a copy. They're like $9.99. If you send me an email at Rocky, R-O-C-K-Y, R-R-E, Roger, Eric at Yahoo, or at gmail.com, and you can't afford one, we'll send you one. Try to help you out. Just remember, when you hit rock bottom, there's only one way to go, and that is up. Pick up a copy. God bless you. Have a wonderful day, and talk to you soon.